Welcome back, everyone, to The Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're cracking open a classic text, Guru Kian Sakhian, Tales of the Sikh Gurus.
That's right. And we're zeroing in on one particular story from the material provided.
It's titled, Here Goes the Tale of the Rajas from the Hills.
A very evocative title.
So our plan today is pretty straightforward. We want to unpack this specific narrative segment, just as it's presented in the source we have.
Looking at the events, the people involved, the whole context given within this tale itself, sticking strictly to what the text tells us.
Exactly. No going beyond the source material provided for this deep dive.
Okay, let's dive in. Where does the story begin?
Well, the text sets the scene at Kiratpur. There's a big religious festival happening.
A festive occasion, yes. On Nimani Ekadshi, which the source helpfully notes is around May-June time.
And apparently, news got out that Guru Hargobind Ji had arrived from Kiratpur.
Which caused quite a stir, it seems. The text says devotees came overwhelmingly from all over.
Yeah, it lists quite a few places. Ramdas, Alapur Shamali, Duburji, Baikifafan,
Multan, Sialkot, Chamba, too. It really emphasizes this large, diverse gathering.
And among this crowd, the narrative points out some specific arrivals, Rajas from the nearby hills.
Specifically, Raja Kalyan Chand from Kahlur.
And Raja Himat Chand from Handoor. The text mentions he brought his son, Tara Chand, and also Diwan Chand.
Right, so these rulers are present alongside all the other devotees.
And like everyone else, they presented offerings and had darshan, that respectful glimpse of the guru.
It positions them firmly within this religious gathering, participating.
Okay, but then the narrative takes a bit of a turn. A specific question gets asked.
Yes, this is where Bhai Nannu comes in, a Sikh devotee.
He stands up, and according to the text, he asks Guru Hargobind something pretty direct.
He does. He asks, essentially, why these Rajas, the ones right there, why had they faced so much adversity for years, imprisoned in the fort of Gwalior?
That's quite the question to ask publicly. And he doesn't stop there, does he?
No, he adds another layer. He asks what generosity they've shown now that's earning them praise all over the hills.
It's like he's pointing out a contradiction, or at least a big shift. Past hardship versus current praise.
Exactly. And he asks the guru, quite humbly it sounds, please eliminate the doubts from my mind. He wants an explanation for this apparent shift in their fortunes.
So the stage is set. How does Guru Hargobind respond in this account?
Well, the guru acknowledges it's a relevant question, a good question.
And then he starts explaining, but maybe not in the way you'd expect.
Not directly about Gwalior, no. Instead, the text says he begins by tracing their lineage, going way back.
He introduces this figure, Lohdiya, described as their leader from long ago, someone who came from the east.
And the source emphasizes Lohdiya's character, someone who had meditated a lot, very benevolent.
And when he arrived, the local Gudran people, as the text calls them, welcomed him warmly, gave him shelter.
Then the guru, in the story, brings in another person from that ancient Gudran clan.
Jasbir, described as an amiable person.
Right. And the narrative connects Lohdiya and Jasbir through hunting. Lohdiya enjoyed hunting, and one day Jasbir, the village head, went along.
And they end up outside at this place called the hamlet of Kahlur.
And this is where Jasbir, according to the tale, tells Lohdiya about the significance of this very spot.
He says it's very auspicious.
Extremely auspicious, yeah. And he backs this up with stories he'd heard from elders. Amazing stories, actually.
Like what?
Well, first, that the sage Pardwad Rishi used to meditate right there.
Okay, holy man.
But then there's this incredible incident while the Rishi was meditating. His cow was outside grazing. A lion attacks the cow, but the cow fights back, downs the lion, and kills it.
Wow, a cow killing a lion.
That's the story Jasbir recounts. And there's another one ages later. A goat fights a cheetah.
Yeah.
The goat wins. Beats the cheetah, which runs away.
So these stories are used to show this place, Kahlur, has some inherent, maybe spiritual power.
That seems to be the implication in the text, yes. It's a place where the natural order is almost inverted due to its auspiciousness.
And Jasbir also mentions another ancestor, right?
Yes, a Raja named Kahlur also meditated there. An ancestor of the Gudran people, apparently well remembered.
And he was the one who actually gave the hamlet its name, Kahlur.
So the guru's explanation, as presented, is really weaving together ancient sages, these almost mythical animal combats and ancestral themes, all tied to this specific piece of land.
Land connected to one of the Rajas present at the gathering.
Exactly. It's laying this incredibly deep foundation for the place.
Okay, so where does the Guru's explanation go from there in the narrative?
It moves forward in time, still focused on Kahlur hamlet.
Right.
The Guru adds, again addressing Bhai Nannu, that in that same place, eventually, Lohdiya had a fort built.
Lohdiya, the leader from the east.
Yes. And then the test makes this huge leap. A few thousands years went by.
Wow. Okay. Big time jump.
And then it says the same Raja. Now, it's a little ambiguous if this refers back to the ancestor Raja Kahlur, or perhaps signifies the continuing lineage or importance. But this Raja got the abode of Naina Devi built.
Naina Devi, okay. Yeah.
And after that, raised the fort of Handoor, another key location linked to the other Raja present.
So the explanation is connecting these ancient origins directly to the forts and territories of the Rajas sitting right there.
Precisely. The text then explicitly states that Raja Kalyan Chand Kahluri and Raja Himat Chand Handoori, the ones at the gathering, are the descendants of Lohdiya.
It brings the lineage right up to the present moment of the story.
And then it mentions a very recent action. Raja Kalyan Chand, the one from Kahlur, he built another fort, this one on the border with Handoor, named Kalyani Fortress.
Okay, so a new fort named after himself.
And he also founded a village there called Kote Kalyan Fortress Kalyan.
Got it. Kote Kalyan.
And right after describing the founding of this new fort and village, the narrative segment we have ends with this really abrupt, almost ominous sentence.
What does it say?
It says, "This place became the cause of infraction."
The cause of infraction. And that's it. That's where this part of the tale ends.
That's the end of the provided excerpt for this specific tale, yes. It introduces the infraction, but doesn't explicitly state what it was or directly link it back to the Gwalior imprisonment or the praise Bhai Nannu asked about.
So, just to recap the flow from the source.
All right.
We have the festive scene, the Rajas arrive. Bhai Nannu asks about their past troubles in Gwalior and current praise. And the Guru responds with this long history lesson. Lohdiya, Jasbir, the auspicious hamlet of Kahlur with its legends, the building of forts over millennia.
Connecting it all to the Raja's lineage.
And finally, landing on this new place, Kote Kalyan, built by Raja Kalyan Chand, and stating that place became the cause of infraction.
It's a fascinating way to structure the answer, isn't it? It doesn't give a simple, political reason for Gwalior up front.
No, it embeds the explanation within this deep, almost mythical history of their ancestral land and lineage.
Suggesting perhaps that the events aren't just about recent politics, but are tied into this longer, deeper story connected to the land itself.
The source uses ancient legends, the actions of ancestors, the building of forts over vast stretches of time, all leading up to this one recent act building Kote Kalyan, which is labeled the infraction.
It definitely leaves you wondering. The answer to Bhai Nannu's question about adversity and praise seems linked to this infraction, but the explanation is delivered through this rich, layered, historical, and, somewhat legendary narrative.
Right. It highlights how history, legend, and maybe spiritual significance of place are all woven together in this account.
It's not presented as just a sequence of events, but as something more deeply rooted.
So thinking about this for you, the listener, the source clearly points to the founding of Kote Kalyan as the cause of infraction that led to the Raja's adversity. But it frames this within a narrative full of ancient sages, powerful legends tied to the land, and millennia of history.
Given that context provided in the Guru's explanation, this mix of history and the almost magical auspiciousness of Kahlur, what might this infraction related to Kote Kalyan actually signify within the worldview presented by this text?
Is it just a border dispute that went wrong? Or does the source imply something deeper, maybe a spiritual transgression related to that auspicious land, or perhaps upsetting a balance described through those ancient stories?
It's a provocative thought. How does this specific telling, blending history and legend, want us to understand the relationship between the Rajas, their actions like building this fort, and the consequences they faced, as narrated in Guru Kian Sakhian?
Something definitely to ponder, based purely on how this particular tale unfolds in the source material we've explored today.